Welcome to our little panel session here. I'm not sure what the formal title is. Accessing and interacting with industry. But this is all really about why on earth all of those big brand logos that you see on the flyers are here today, and why on earth they would come to this warm lecture theatre to spend time with the likes of you lot. My name is Rachel Moss. I'm a junior partner from our London office at McKinsey & Company, which is populated by nerds, and that's another reason why I'm here today. And I'm very pleased to introduce our panel. I'm just going to ask each of them to talk us through a little bit about who they are, where they come from, and then we'll get started interrogating them under these spotlights. Do you want to get started?
Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Elena Fernandez Kleinlein. I am at Johnson & Johnson Innovation, based out of the Innovation Center here in London, in Oxford Street. And what I do at the Innovation Center is really scouting and identifying opportunities, technologies, and solutions for the consumer sector and J&J. For those that may not be that familiar with Johnson & Johnson, we have 3 business units, the pharmaceutical arm, the medical devices, and the consumer sector. And I'm working in the consumer sector looking at technologies that may be disruptive in our field.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alec Orbach. I'm from Teva. I'm based in Israel. I'm heading the pharmacology department in Netanya. And part of what we do is providing scientific input for products in development, but another part is working with people like you guys at early stages and working on the project, helping to achieve milestones and understand its potential. And we've been doing this for quite some time at various levels, and that's why I'm here.
So I'm Will West. I run a UK-based biotech company developing a prostate cancer drug, and a US-based non-viral gene therapy company for imaging and treating lung cancer. I've done deals with Big Pharma. So yeah, it can happen, and yes, and it can be very beneficial as well. So hopefully we can touch on some of that. The second side is I've been involved with OneStart from the start and have mentored a number of teams on this too.
So my name is Claire Brown. I used to work at AstraZeneca, where I was working in BD and in licensing, and latterly in my time in AstraZeneca, I was working with our MediVentures investment group. Prior to that, I spent time in Genzyme and UCB research. Now I've moved into a company called BioCity, and many of you might not know what BioCity are, but they're an incubator company. They've got a variety of science parks across the UK. But it's quite unusual in that as a science park, we also invest in our companies. So one of the things that I manage is the investment activity for BioCity, and I manage a particular couple of funds that we put finance into the companies that are located on our site.
Hello, my name is Georg Büchner. I work for Amgen. I'm the European prospector. I am actually pretty new in Big Pharma. I always worked in small biotech companies, so I know where you're coming from. I was also in a startup that we nearly failed. So yeah, I look at technologies, I look at different therapeutic areas. I am normally the guy that brings it in and actually tell companies, small companies, how to bring it in. So great to be here. It's good to see this because it's like going back in years. You know, I would love to be on your side. So
In your age.
yeah, new age, it would be also good. But
Yeah, so besides making us all feel young, what is the attraction of partnering with and tapping into this pool of talent? Why does a pharma company need to be here in some sense? For those of you with the... Maybe we go back to you again.
well, I think so. This is kind of personal to Amgen. I think our generation has seen like an amazing innovation happening really quickly. And I think it's the entrepreneur that actually bring forward a lot of this innovation. You know, I was in Cambridge and I see a lot of small companies getting out with amazing ideas. And I think, what was changing a lot is when I was in academia, I was sitting there, had no clue how to bring stuff out. I think it's I'm here to help, but also I'm sure that in here, with some amazing technology, some amazing ideas, that we can help somehow, but also as a company, having a big company behind, done properly, can actually fast forward technology by a million years rather than going to the friends, venture capitalists, and I think also mentoring. There's some certain errors that we all did. I think all of us will tell you some stories of stuff that we did wrong. For me, it's really a pleasure to be here and help you guys. I think it's great that you have these ideas. We all spent a lot of time reading. There were some pretty amazing ideas. And I think, maybe it's the next big company is here, or maybe the next big deal is just between here. So J&J will know a lot more, though.
Thanks for that. So I think, building on what Georg was saying, the world is changing, and pharma is 20, 30 years ago completely inwardsly looking at their own R&D guys, being the top scientists recruited by that company. But the world is changing so significantly and so rapidly that we need you guys, and you have bright ideas. We need to tap into you, into your thinking, into the science that you're creating and generating, and I think more to come, because in the pharma space, and this has been proven, I think, in other pharmaceutical companies already, is that the ratio internal-external innovation will change dramatically as well as we speak. So I think that is, why we're here and really trying to bring you into what we can offer as pharmaceutical companies and an industry, so to speak.
And then experience tells us that there will be lots of good ideas in this room and a handful of really great ideas. So how do you differentiate what is a great idea and a great startup from among the many good ones?
I'd love to go. So, I don't know about you, but if I'm sitting in my office and I'm getting bombarded with these ideas via email, you're at conferences, you get these PDF files, and you really want to get to the nugget. What are the critical ones? To me, there's a couple of things. You have to excite me. You really have to bring me the uniqueness and the differentiating aspect of your technology, because otherwise I'm not going to even have a look at it. The thing is, if you can demonstrate with science and robust data that unique idea has a chance, to progress to a proof of concept, that's great. And that will also show me what type of process you're using to actually move that idea forward. I think the other element is that how you're protecting your idea. If it is unique, you want to protect it. How strong are you protecting that idea? That's critical. And another one that I will say that is critical in the consumer goods business is how novel is this idea going to be 5 years, 2-3 years down the road, because the world is changing and the marketplace is changing. And you have to make sure that idea is still unique and novel and breakthrough and game-changing. And I think that's something that I would, like to leave you with.
I was just going to say that I think when I was on the in-licensing side, and now I'm more on the investment side, so I see a lot of business plans and people coming to me with a lot of ideas. I think the things that are quite key is to tell that innovative story clearly. And it sounds a simple thing, but if you've got a really exciting technology but you make it overcomplicated, then again, am I going to wade through all that information to find the nugget? Because it actually may not be the nugget in its current form. It may be that there is a nugget that you need to pivot, you need to change, you need to adapt some way to really get the huge value. And if it's not told clearly enough, then I think that's the challenge. And I also think that people, when they meet companies like AstraZeneca, like J&J, like Amgen, they'll talk about this is the money it can make. But we've got a lot of forecasters and we've got a lot of people that know finance in and out that have spent ages in these markets and will know what's a realistic finance model and what's a forecast. So I think it's don't try and bamboozle about the finance and say we're going to make $1 billion product. It's more important to actually say this is a technology and we've had a stab at trying to understand the type of market, the addressable market that we can access. Yeah. But don't think all we want to know is how much money it's going to make, because I guarantee we've looked at a lot of things that sit in this space and know how realistic that money will come.
Yeah. I think also something that you have to understand when you go in big pharma that there are various steps where it actually goes in. And I think clarity in value proposition is always the best. I mean, there's no point sending 600 slides that people have to go through because nobody will ever go through, right? I think there are two levels, right? The first level is really like the appetizers, kind of to get through me, and get it reach to the next level where actually we speak to the scientists and we're actually able to present to the scientists. Because if it's difficult for us, we'll just not do it, pretty simple. I think it's the value proposition also. I spent before Amgen, I was a consultant with 6 different companies, and I spent literally a month to actually guide them through what you need. You need a non-confidential presentation that's simple. What's the value proposition? What do you want? What you're seeking? And you have to be able to present it to anybody. This is the non-confidential presentation. Don't make it 60 slides. Make like 10 slides. Who you are, what you're proposing, what's the value proposition, what you're looking for. And then have like another presentation with the scientists, because when you go to them, then you have to speak about science. But just to make it difficult, and also understanding how to speak with the people. Don't pastor them like at every conference and speak 600 times. Try to just get a relationship with the person. Relationship is all about here. Because if I have a relationship with you, I will help you. If you write me 600 emails and you try to see me every 10 minutes, it will just not go, right? And I'm just saying this because it's happened to me on the other side. And some people just, they don't take no as no. Every company has a different angle. Every company is doing different things. It could be the best thing, but it doesn't fit the strategy. Just understand there's no point going back and back again, right?
Every farmer will take a meeting from you. If you phone them up and you get an email back saying, yeah, it'd be great to meet, don't think you've done a deal. I mean, I used to, seriously. You've got to remember that a lot of what these guys do is scouting. It's just, frankly, finding out what's out there to really work out what is competitive. You've got to remember why you're in there, and that's to get your deal done. Elena or George or whoever's going to have, 250 potential deals sat on their desk. Why are they going to take yours? What is it about yours? So it's not just about it's really smart science. It's exactly you were saying, Elena. It's how does it fit into the environment for that particular company as well as the environment as a whole? Where's it going? Ultimately, you've got to think about why is this going to make this pharma company look really smart when the press release goes out? If you think in that terms, then you've got half a chance. But don't take anything for granted. The science has got to be good. The plan has got to be good. The senior management have got to be bought into it. They've got to be aware that this particular area of science even exists. Sometimes they don't even know that. So you've got to lobby the scientists. You've got to lobby the BD people. It is about networks. George is absolutely right on that.
I think a lot of it has to do with we know the problems that we're dealing with. And even though pharma has a lot of resources, they are still limited. We can't answer everything. And we do expect, and we're looking forward for people to come with ideas on how to solve the problems and present them to us. So we're very happy that this happens. I think 2 things you have to keep in mind. One is you have to know where you want to go at the end of the day, but you have to be very focused on the part of the project that you are working on now. So if it's a pitch to get in and to be able to present, it has to be short, it has to be focused. You have to look at some very fundamental ideas that are important in terms of business. So that's protecting IP, having a clear path forward in terms of business, at least for the next phase, and pitching some of the science and rationale and technology behind that. If that's interesting, there will always be time for a deep dive. That's always there. So you have to keep in mind that you have to look forward for the long run, but you have to understand the phase that you are in at the moment. So if it's to open the door, it has to be short, concise, interesting, addressing a problem. And again, we don't need the business deal, we usually know what the market is, what's out there. We do need the solution, how you're going about to solve this, and is it protected enough? Could it be helpful?
Okay, so you have to place yourself in the shoes of your audience now. This audience, by the way, has been through the OneStart process and so has a super crisp, clear business plan that's all ready to go on their laptop. How do they get your attention? We talked a little bit about networking and reaching out and so on, and what we hear sometimes that it's hard to get that first meeting, that first discussion. So any sort of tips of getting your foot in the door?
I think the thing that I always remember when I meet people is the enthusiastic ones. So if you're excited about what you do, that shows in the way that you communicate the story. And to me, that I'll remember that person. Now, the idea might not be great, but I'll always remember that person because they've had something different about them that engaged me. So I think enthusiasm, 100%.
I think if I would be in your shoes, I would just ask me, well, great, how do I speak with Amgen? How do I speak with J&J? How do I speak with all these people, right? Because we're now here, but you've never seen us. I mean, I'm sure you all know, but there are actually some pretty good networking conferences that for us, I think is pretty normal. We all know about it, but the By Europe Springs, there's stuff like the By Wednesday stuff that Nuctos is doing, for example, around here. So maybe they're a bit expensive, but you get a lot of exposure there. If you have an idea and you have sorted it out, this actually, I think, for somebody that starts, it's one of the best places to actually meet with everybody because we're all there. And then you get to network. It's all about networks. You start with one conference, and I think, we meet Will West. I think we meet like 12 years at conference now. So it counts to go to. It looks like a big investment at the beginning, but if you actually manage to go to these conferences and go, you will see every company is there. It's a good start because otherwise it's daunting. You sit on your side, you have an idea, you have a business plan. How do you come and speak with me? How do you come and speak with everybody, right? And I can tell you, if you sell the stuff on the website, we have like a BD stuff. It doesn't go really far, does it? I mean, if you send your stuff on the BD website, you have not a good chance that will go through. You have to be something pretty amazing. I would just look at this conference. I'm happy. I think we're all happy to tell you which one they are. I think it's the best exposure you can get.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can only echo what has been said here. I think the other, not to underestimate the personal relationship that you're building, right? Whether it's through a conference and meeting a face-to-face, also through the networking events that may come up. But I'm also, quite open if somebody connects through LinkedIn, or through the website. At J&J Innovation, actually, we have a website. We do look at it, and we do get a lot of emails in there connecting, to the right people. And I may not be the right person, but I can then transfer you to the right person or connect you to somebody else in the organization. I think that's the beauty of the innovation centers. We're set up in a way that we're really a conduit into the larger organization in J&J and can make that contact for you if need be.
Sorry, this was specifically about that.
Go for it.
I was actually just to echo exactly what you said there, because I learned a really useful piece of advice when I attended a panel, and it was around making it easy for you to forward on to your colleague. So if you're going to get in touch with Elena and say, this is my idea, make it as concise as possible so that the minimum she needs to do is just press forward, put in the person that she's going to email it to, and the details are all there. So not a big long-winded email, but the key points in that email. And I think that's quite important because it saves the work for you, and therefore you're more likely to do it frequently.
I think there's a huge balance in all of this. I think the conferences definitely have a role. They definitely get some early contacts. You do need to think about who's going to be the ambassador in that organisation that's really going to drive your idea through to a deal or a conclusion in some way. Because it's not just about getting an Elena or a George or Eric on side. You're going to need some scientists in there as well, and you're going to have to forge relationships with them and the senior management people. One of the balances with conferences is that J&J will have 20 meetings in a day. You're going to have to be pretty exuberant to stand out, and I'm sure some of you are. Another approach, and I have genuinely used this, is email the head of cardiology at Mölndal in Sweden and say, oh, I happen to be in Mölndal next week. Can I pop by and get your advice? Because I'm at this pivotal moment and I really could benefit with 30 minutes of your time. Would that be possible? They always say yes. People love to give their advice. And actually, 30 minutes, I will book my flight, I will go out and see them. And that's the best BD you can do. So, use targeted approaches as well as the conferences, I would suggest.
Okay, so now you've got your foot in the door, you've got the meeting, and you've told all your friends that you've signed a deal with J&J when you haven't quite really. And then you show up for this meeting with your shiny PowerPoint and your enthusiasm. What should you do or not do in that discussion to make sure that of the 20 meetings that happen that day, that it goes well?
So, so again, I think for that stage, you have to be very clear about what you're trying to achieve. And very, very focused about it. And you have to touch all the relative, I think from our side at least, all the relative aspects of such a project, but at the highest level possible. So you will touch on the science, you will touch on the work plan, you will touch on the IP, and you will touch on the next phases that you would like to reach. And again, not bringing all the data at once, but really highlighting the most important points. And at the end of the day, or at the end of that meeting, you should, of course, be open for questions. And I think, technically speaking, try to set up a follow-up meeting there if that's possible, because there always will be questions and always new issues. And you should open the door to see if you can provide more information. Also try to understand what's interesting for the company. What are they looking for? What the problems are. That way you could solve it better.
I think the most important, make your homework. Don't go with an anti-infective company to Amgen, for example. Happened before. I think when you come in, understanding how this could actually fit with the company and be brave. I think also, don't think that we are there. We need you. So when you do the meeting, ask what's next, ask what's the process, understanding how you get in, understanding what's the next step. Because a lot of people that just present and then they go away and they have never understood that actually how it works. Don't be shy to ask what's happening next, because you can drive. We prospectors, sometimes we forget, but if you know how the process works, you can actually wake us up and saying, you told me you're doing this. Make follow-ups, right? Understanding how every organization is different. You speak with Amgen, you speak with J&J, we spoke, every company has a different process. It doesn't mean that how you do with me, you will deal with somebody else. Just understand the company, understanding who to speak to. Because I think, and also don't go in and trying to say everything at once. Don't go in and use like the 20 minutes and you're just trying to fit in like 3 hours of thing. Just, make it concise, and then at the end just ask, okay, what's the next step? What's happening next? How can I help you when we follow back? And then just keep this, because if I promise something, I will do it. If you just finish the meeting and you go, it can happen that I forget, and just don't, if you agreed what's next, you can actually call and I will listen. If you start writing all the time again and again, it's, we're seeing a lot of things, and I was on the other side, and I was one that was hustling a lot, or is it actually not the best way to do it? You have to, you actually have a lot of power, because if you have something that you like, we will run, because we're looking so many things, we don't find so many things that we like. So just, don't be scared of us. We are here, we want to do a deal as well. We are, I would say we're a bit like overpaid PAs. We have to bring it to the next step, and we have to convince. If you give us something that's convincing, we will do our best to bring it over. Okay, and by the way, chairs of panels should not give advice, but I'm going to do it anyway. One of the things that we see a lot over the years in the part of the OneStart competition is that the enthusiasm's there. The confidence around the science sometimes is there, not always. Please do be confident in these interactions. But also please be humble about when there's a change of direction or course needed from a commercial perspective in particular, because what you know best is the science. But sometimes it may be that you're talking to J&J and they say, hey, have you thought about that segment? And you say, no, because we have thought about this and we believe our company is going in that direction. Just keep an open ear to the alternative direction
because it may be, remember that the intent of these meetings is for you to get value for your company and to make sure that it goes somewhere and has real impact in the marketplace and hopefully also for patients.
Just to that point, because I guess you might go into the meeting wanting a deal at the end of it, but actually where the company is coming at it is they're saying maybe a collaboration is the right step. So it's not going in with preformed ideas and thinking that it's a disaster if you don't get exactly what you came for, because quite often companies will work with companies with smaller startups for a period of time to actually get it to the point of which they're interested to license it. So just because you don't walk out with a deal doesn't mean that there's not value to be gained in the collaboration.
Which seamlessly takes me to my last final question. You know, so the pitch has gone perfectly. You wowed them. You've come up with a whole new direction for this product. It's going to be a multi-billion-dollar product that's going to transform human health. What are your deal options? What types of, or maybe it's a smaller product to your point that needs a little bit more support. What's the realm of different deals and support models that you could expect to hear about from interacting with a player like yourself?
So I think the number one rule for us is really to try to understand best what you guys need. Okay. Only if we know exactly what the needs are of the company, where the company wants to go, we can then tailor somehow a collaboration according. So it can range from traditional research collaborations to a certain milestone until you hit a certain milestone in your development program, or it can be, further down the road, de-risking the program in such a way that you would then opt for a license as an example. But I think I cannot stress enough how important it is to get clarity around the objective and where the company wants to go. And I think I've seen, not so much in startups and beginning, but also in biotech companies where you have the management and the board of directors not agreeing with the founders of the company, and that can be extremely stressful. And unless you have a clear idea, that where you want to go, I think that's where industry can step in and really customize, as I said, the potential collaboration.
So I'm not going to speak about the types of deals because I do that less. I can say that if there is interest, I think you should keep in mind that we as pharma have a lot of resources. So even if you're sent back to do some more homework or clarify some issues that even mean some more wet work, many times we can do a lot of the things very efficiently. It doesn't take a lot because the systems are set up. So I would say try to find out if there is an interest, even a basic interest, even if you're sent back to do homework, can we help you with some things that may be very difficult for you to do on your own, and a week's work or within our systems when we do them internally. And there are quite a few things that will work out that way, just gaining information even at the initial steps.
So be brave enough to ask for help as well as for clarity on the next steps. Okay, Will?
And I think there's an important point here that actually a lot of big pharma now don't want to just internalize your ideas. I mean, this is the shift that's now happening. And so there is going to be far more deals on the table which allows you to stay in the driving seat over a period of time and allow perhaps the pharma to then have options at certain milestone times. But actually, R&D within pharma companies is shrinking. I mean, and I'm sure that's a trend that will continue. They are still absolutely fantastic at it and still very good at then pushing that into clinical trials. So, so getting additional resource for that next phase is definitely there. But, if you want to still own your idea and keep it going, there's a deal still to be done with pharma. Don't think they're just going to take it off you. That's not how it works anymore.
The last word to do.
Yeah, I think you have also to look in the DNA of the companies. I mean, if you look at certain companies, I think J&J is doing an amazing job with the Innovation Center to really go and do early deals. I mean, you also have to know which company is doing what. But I think everybody's right here. You have to know exactly what you want because it's your company at the end of the day. And if a big pharma likes what you have, they will actually bend around what you want. Don't go in and just say, oh, any deal will be there, any deal is okay. Just ask them, you have to think what you want to get out. You want to sell the company, you want to collaboration, you want to bring it forward. and just be clear. I think the clarity will also help us then to go in and say, this company would like to do this deal, nothing else. Because, you know, don't let us just come to you and say what we want to do, because it's your company. You know, you might have different expectation, but just tell us, because if you know, we can also make a case internally then to actually, that we actually come with something that you like. You know, sometimes we get like pitches where it's completely unclear what they want. They just go out and it kind of seems like they're desperate to do a deal. This is not a good position to start. You know, if you come in and even if you're an entrepreneur and say, you know what, I want this company, I want this technology to mature, I need somebody that gives me these assets, but I want that it stays with me. Most companies will actually listen to this and they will actually appreciate that you know what you're doing.